You send your saliva to a company, hoping to find out if whether or not you're 10% Italian. And instead, you discover that they own your genetic code and that the man who raised you isn't your biological father. This is the dark reality of at-home DNA tests that millions have bought into, to trading their most fundamental information for a heritage chart and a connection to distant relatives. Their sales pitch is very attractive. Discover where you came from. But what if the price of that knowledge is way higher than you imagined? What if in searching for your roots, you lose control of the very code that makes you, you? We'll discuss this and more today on Trace Your New England Roots. Hello, my friends. Welcome back. Today's video is in response to questions that have been posted by many of you in the comments of other videos in this series of our using DNA testing as an additional tool in our genealogical research. And enough of you have voiced your concern of whether or not DNA testing is safe or even ethical. So I thought that this video would be ideal to promote further discussion on this very sensitive topic, because I always feel that we learn and grow as genealogists and family historians if we work together as a community. And let's be honest, folks. The rise of these direct-to-consumer genetic tests have been explosive in recent years. It's estimated that well over 30 million people have sent their DNA to companies like 23andMe and AncestryDNA. And the reasons why are deeply human. We're curious about our past. We want to find a sense of belonging, to solve old family mysteries, or just to have a cool new piece of trivia about ourselves. Many of us dream of connecting with family members we never knew we had, filling in the blank spaces on our family tree. Now, these companies, they market a journey of self-discovery, a chance to unlock the secrets hidden in our genes. You just spit in a tube and then mail it off, and a few weeks later, a detailed report lands in your inbox. It feels futuristic, it's personal, and incredibly insightful. You might even find out you have Viking ancestors or a surprising link to a country you've always wanted to visit. For many, it's a genuinely positive experience. They connect with third or fourth cousins, they learn about their family's migration patterns, and they get that satisfying confirmation that yes, they are indeed 10% Italian. But this is where the story splits. And for a growing number of people, the results bring something far more complicated and unsettling than a simple ancestry chart. Behind the slick marketing and feel-good reunion stories, there's a multi-billion-dollar industry built on your most personal data. And once you've sent that sample in, you can't get it back. And unlike a stolen credit card that you can cancel, Your genetic code is permanent. That journey of self-discovery can quickly become a nightmare of corporate betrayal, devastating family secrets, and a very real permanent loss of privacy. This isn't a hypothetical risk, it's happening right now. And the central question becomes, is any of it worth it? The first shock usually isn't in your ancestry percentages. It's buried deep in the terms of service that almost no one ever reads. When you sign up, you're often asked to consent to your data being used for what they call research. It sounds noble, doesn't it? Like you're contributing to the greater good of science. But what does this research really mean? For many of these companies, it means your DNA becomes a product. It's a commodity to be bought and sold. In one of the most high-profile examples, 23andMe signed a 4-year deal with the pharmaceutical giant GlaxoSmithKline, giving them a $300 million stake in the company. That deal allows GlaxoSmithKline to comb through the genetic data of millions of 23andMe customers to find targets for new drugs and select patients for clinical trials. Ancestry has also sold and anonymized data to third-party parties. And suddenly, that spit that you sent in to find out about your great-great-grandmother is now helping a massive corporation develop its next blockbuster drug. And you won't even see a single penny of the profits. The companies will tell you that the data, your data, is anonymized or de-identified. But privacy experts warn that true anonymization is quickly becoming a myth. And as technology advances, it gets easier to re-identify individuals by cross-referencing excuse me, their anonymous genetic data with other public information like voter registration or social media profiles. And once your data is shared with a third party, it's out of the original company's hands. Their privacy policy no longer applies. And unfortunately, you have little to no control over how your fundamental biological code is used or who it's shared with next. And then there's the issue of security. These databases are a goldmine for hackers. In fact, in October 2023, 23andMe, there's the tongue tie, confirmed a massive data breach, and a hacker accessed the data of about 6.9 million of their users. At the time, nearly half of their entire customer database was affected. And this wasn't a direct hack of their core systems. Instead, the attacker used what was called credential stuffing, using usernames and passwords stolen from other websites to break into 23andMe accounts. And because so many users had opted into a feature called DNA relatives, this hacker was able to scrape the data of millions of more connected users. The stolen information included names, birth years, locations, and ethnicity estimates. The hacker then put this data up for sale on the dark web, advertising specific lists of users with Ashkenazi Jewish or Chinese ancestry, raising terrifying prospects of targeted attacks and discrimination. In the aftermath, 23andMe's response was widely criticized, with many, in fact, suggesting the company tried to shift the blame onto its users for reusing their old passwords. This breach has since led to class action suits. The incident lays bare the frightening reality that you are entrusting your most permanent, sensitive information to a company and just hoping they can protect it. And when they fail, the consequences are irreversible. The corporate betrayal here is deeply unsettling, but it's often the personal discoveries that cause the most immediate and gut-wrenching pain. DNA doesn't lie, and it has no regard for family secrets. For decades, even centuries, families have been built on complicated truths, on secrets kept out of love, shame, or even fear. An undisclosed adoption, an affair, a sperm or egg donor, these secrets were often taken to the grave. Until now. Suddenly, a notification pops up. You have a new DNA match, close family. And when you click on it, expecting to find a distant cousin, instead, you see a stranger's name listed as parent-child or half-sibling. Your world tilts on its axis. The family tree you've known your entire life is revealed to be a work of fiction. The man who raised you, the man who loved you, the man who taught you how to ride a bike is not your biological father. Or maybe you discover you have a brother or sister you never knew existed, and they were living just a few towns away. These are known as NPEs, or not parent expected events. And they are an increasingly common result of consumer DNA testing. The emotional fallout can be catastrophic. It can cause profound identity crises and make people question everything they thought that they knew about themselves. It can shatter marriages. It can tear families apart. And this creates rifts of betrayal and resentment that may never heal. The innocent search for a quaint piece of heritage can lead to divorce, estrangement, and deep psychological distress. The ethical problem here runs even deeper because your decision to test it wasn't made in a vacuum. When you send in your DNA, you're not just revealing your own genetic information. You are revealing information about your parents, your siblings, your children, and even your cousins. They never consented to any of this. Your mother or father may have a secret they never wanted to be revealed, and your curiosity just blew it wide open. A second cousin match to an unknown person can be enough to uncover an affair that happened more than 50 years ago, bringing pain and shame to elderly relatives who have no desire to confront the past. This raises a serious ethical question about consent. Can one person ethically agree to reveal information that intrinsically belongs to their entire family? Genealogists and ethicists warn that we have to respect the privacy and autonomy of our relatives. They urge us to consider the potential impact on our family and get their permission before testing. But in the excitement of discovery, this vital step is often forgotten. Now, we're about to get into how law enforcement uses this data and what you can do to protect yourself. But first, if you're finding this information valuable, please take a moment to click the like and subscribe buttons and check out YouTube's new hype feature. It really helps this channel grow, and it tells the YouTube algorithm that you're enjoying this content. It will then recommend this video to other budding family historians and genealogists just like you who are seeking similar content. And be sure to participate in the comments below. That's really the main reason this video, I posted this video. I truly value your engagement and community. I enjoy this community with you, and I try to read and respond to every comment. And it lets me know how I'm doing. It gives me recommendations for content. As I said, it prompted this video. It lets me know what you're interested in seeing, and it allows me to answer your questions. I'm also excited to announce another way that you can support this channel, and that's by becoming a member. And in addition to subscribing, you can become a member by clicking on the join button to access. I intend to make member exclusive content available for members, such as early access to videos before they become available to the public. Also, consider joining my Patreon. This support helps me tremendously with the logistics of maintaining this channel, and it allows me to keep current with new technologies and methodologies to bring you the best content and improve the quality of my videos. And I also want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping this channel to reach our first goal of 1,000 subscribers in such a very short amount of time. Please help us to reach our next goal of 5,000 subscribers. I know we can do it, and I'm very excited. Your support means the world. It helps me create more in-depth genealogy guides. It helps me to explore fascinating colonial stories from our past and connect with you through personalized content. Together, we'll uncover the rich legacies of our ancestors, we'll learn practical research strategies, and celebrate the incredible journeys that shaped our family histories. Thank you so much for becoming a vital part of this journey. Now, let's dive back into the past, bring our roots to life, and let's jump back in to our discussion. Let's talk about the wider implications with law enforcement and the bigger picture here. The ethical mess that we've been discussing doesn't stop with corporations and family secrets. There's another, even more powerful group that has taken a keen interest in your genetic data, and that's law enforcement. The most famous recent case, of course, is that of the Golden State Killer, who for decades was this serial murderer and rapist who evaded capture. The case went cold, leaving behind a trail of terror. But then in 2018, investigators cracked the case using a public genetic genealogy website called GED And here's how they did it. They took DNA evidence from a crime scene and uploaded it to the site, just like any other user. It's important to clarify this was not Ancestry's or 23andMe's private database. GED is a third-party site where people can voluntarily upload their raw DNA data from other companies to find more relatives. The investigators didn't get a direct match for the killer, but instead they found a number of his distant relatives. These are third and fourth cousins who had also uploaded their DNA for their own family tree research. And from there, the police painstakingly built out family trees, eventually narrowing their search down to one man, Joseph James D'Angelo. It was a stunning breakthrough that brought a monster to justice. Now, on the surface, this sounds like a clear win, but it opened up a Pandora's box of ethical concerns. The relatives whose DNA led to the killer's capture had no idea they were helping a criminal investigation. They uploaded their data to find ancestors, not to become unwitting genetic informants. This technique essentially turns everyone who has used these public sites into a potential lead in a criminal case, implicating not just themselves, but their entire family tree. And while major companies like AncestryDNA and 23andMe state they will not voluntarily share genetic information with law enforcement without a valid warrant or court order, the lines are now getting blurry. Police can and do use public databases, and the legal landscape is still being written. What happens now when law enforcement demands access to a company's entire database? Well, what level of suspicion is needed for a warrant powerful enough to force them to comply? This creates a scenario where your genetic material, which reveals the most intimate details about you and your family, could be searched without your consent. You might be completely innocent, but what if a distant cousin commits a crime? Your DNA could put your entire family under a microscope. It's a classic conflict between public safety and individual privacy. And in this case, the privacy you're giving up isn't just your own. It belongs to everyone you're related to. So you're now facing this ethical nightmare. Your data is a product being sold. Your family might be now in turmoil, and you've potentially become a node in a vast genetic surveillance network. What can you actually do about this? Can you get back any control? Unfortunately, the answers here are complicated. For the family secrets, there's no easy fix. That bell can't be unrung. The aftermath requires immense sensitivity, communication, and often professional help from therapists and genetic counselors to navigate this emotional wreckage. Now, when it comes to your data, the path is a little clearer, but it still has its challenges. The best step is always prevention, which requires a level of informed consent that often gets lost in the excitement. Before you even think about buying one of these DNA testing kits, you have to understand the risks involved. Read the privacy policy and terms of service, no matter how long and boring they understand. And they're often on tiny little pieces of paper. Understand exactly what you're agreeing to, especially about research and data sharing. If a company's terms are vague or give them broad permissions, that can be a huge red flag. Now, if you've already taken a test and now have regrets, your main option is to delete your data. Most major companies, including 23andMe and MyHeritage and Ancestry, have an option in their account settings, your account settings, to permanently delete your DNA results. The process usually involves going to your settings, finding the data management section, and then requesting the deletion, which you then have to confirm. However, deleting your data isn't always as simple as it sounds. You need to be specific. Just deleting your account might not automatically delete your genetic data. You often have to make a separate request to have both your raw data and your physical saliva sample destroyed. It's pretty a good idea to contact customer support directly to get written confirmation that everything has been permanently purged from their systems. And even then, big questions still remain. If your data was already included in a research project or sold to a third party before you deleted it, it's likely gone forever. You can't pull it back. This is why we have to respect the wishes of family members who don't want to participate. Their right to genetic privacy is paramount. It must come first. And ultimately, the most effective solution isn't just individual action, but stronger regulation. These companies need to be more transparent. They need to use more clear and simple language to explain exactly how your data will be used, who will be using it, who will it be sold to, and what the risks really are. And until those regulations are in place, the burden falls entirely on you, the consumer, to navigate this ethical minefield. The journey into our genetic past is one of the most personal quests we can take. It does promise connection. It promises identity. It promises answers to lifelong questions. But the industry that has sprung up to guide us on this journey, it's built on a very fragile foundation of trust. And unfortunately, that trust is being broken. Your DNA, the core of who you are, is being turned into a product and sold to the highest bidder. Your most sensitive information can be exposed in data breaches with targeted, frightening consequences. The simple act of testing can detonate secrets that shatter families, all without the consent of those most affected. And your family tree can be turned into a tool of surveillance. The choice of whether to take a DNA test is no longer a simple one. It's a complex ethical calculation that forces you to weigh your curiosity against the permanent loss of control over your most personal information. So before you spit in that tube, you have to ask yourself one last critical question, and that is finding out whether you come from is finding out where you come from worth the risk of losing control over who you are. And in the end, the answer to that question will always come down to you. It will always come down to your personal preference. It will always come down to your own level of comfort. It will always come down to your willingness or unwillingness to embrace new technologies and methodologies for your research. There are obvious benefits that will help you break down your brick walls, but there are also very real and legitimate concerns to keep in mind, and ultimately, it's on you to do your due diligence and investigate these tools and the companies that offer these services thoroughly before you dive in. And don't be afraid to ask others about their experiences. Don't be afraid also to have an open mind. Thanks for watching. I look forward to seeing your discussion in the comments. And until next time, this again is Eric with Trace Your New England Roots, where history starts with your family.